Hello? Hello, is this thing on? Oh, it is on. Welcome back everyone, it's current year here, and it has been a minute since I have casted any games, but back in the caster's chair and enjoying basically playing the game again since the new DLC's come out. Obviously it's riddled with bugs, but it can still be fun, and I feel like we're in a cool place in the meta at the moment with a lot of people trying out new builds because of the new stuff, and sort of everything hasn't quite fallen into place yet. But this is a game that was taken off the Ent Ladder, not featuring either of the races that were seen in the recent DLC, but it was a real cracker of a game nonetheless. So this is up against Wenin. He is playing the Empire, as we see here. He's taken a pretty heavy contingent of skirmish cav, number of outriders, pistoliers, even some grenade launchers, which I like here to help thin out the infantry. Pistoliers, grenade launchers, and the regular outriders on this side. He's also got some Empire Knights. Pretty effective in this matchup. Good for screening out your own skirmish cav. Good for putting some hurt onto infantry with charging and that sort of stuff. And good at just being annoying and good cost-effective unit generally. Some spearmen here and swordsmen dotting the front line. So again, this matchup isn't really won in the infantry grind. Both factions will take pretty basic infantry most of the time. Leading the force, however, we have Boris Todbringer up on a Pegasus, and old mate Toddy up here is rocking with just the white cloak and the Legbiter Runefang, as well as Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, and the debuff from his Crush the Weak passive. And there is a Grey Wizard who has taken just Pendulum and the Law attribute. So that's the Empire force. Pretty basic. Nothing really sort of super high tier here, but very effective and should be good for me to sink my teeth into. Dark Elves that I am playing over here. Dark Riders here to protect my triple Dark Rider repeater crossbows. There's some Scourge Runners behind them, and some Cold One Knights behind the infantry line. Dread Spears and Bleak Swords making up my infantry corps. Again, pretty basic. Neither side really... It's a pretty highly mobile matchup, this one. And neither side will really put too much infantry support other than just sort of basic state troops and basic Bleak Swords on the field. Double Feral Manticore, because why not? I'm playing the Dark Elves, and it's one of the most effective single entities on the roster. And then good old Morathi. So this is a pretty stock standard Dark Elf build. It's pretty meta. So she's got both her items as well as Soul Stealer. So Soul Stealer is, well, you guys know all about Soul Stealer. It was already a pretty nasty spell, but with the AoE bug, I'm not sure if it's a bug or whether it's intended to work like that, but it just has the potential to trap a ton of units. So right off the bat here, the skirmishers are going to trade some blows. The outriders firing into these Dark Riders. Now these aren't the shielded variant, so they are actually going to just pull back rather than subject themselves to that. And Boris is going to come down here and maybe try and get in on the action, but Scourge Runners are going to fire in as well. The Outrider Grenades are really taking a toll on this unit of crossbows. Have lost a number of them already, as we see the infantry fight starting, the infantry line starting to meet. The Dark Riders here will sort of just give a little bit of a barrier for my Dark Riders to pull back into, but these Dark Riders here have been absolutely spanked by those grenade launchers. The Scourge Runners were put under some pressure by the Empire Knights, and I am going to have to pull back now with them and my Dark Riders, but the Cold One Knights have been called in to try and clean up the Empire Knights, and they will do that when they get the charge off. If they get counter charge, can actually be quite a cost-effective trade for Empire Knights, but generally speaking, it's good for the Cold One Knights. And this is what I mean here. Like, this unit is hardly being clipped, but some great value on the Soul Stealer here. This Manticore unfortunately did get Rampage, so it's going to go down here, and its Terror is not really going to be all that effective, but we are pressuring at least the Pistoliers. We have cleaned off this unit of Empire Knights, and now the Dark Riders. This one has rallied and will need to be brought back into the fray, but Dark Riders putting a big volley into these Outriders here, who are going to be pushed back now by the Cold One Knights. Now, no Parthian shot on these guys, which is very handy for me. The Scourge Runners, as you can see here, do have a fair few kills because they did help mob up into one of these units of state troops. Did get a charge in, and now Marathi dropping down on these Pistoliers who have been caught on the Bleak Swords. I did sort of drag some of my infantry back around the back of my line because it wasn't really needed on this side of the battlefield. This is where the action's taking place, and Boris Todbringer is really he's getting a bit brave there. Probably could have reacted with Marathi a little bit quicker as a pendulum goes down. I'm not sure if that was a great target for them going after the Scourge Runners, but we see here it's just there's a lot going on as we take a bit of an overarching look. The infantry lines have clashed. Bleak Swords versus State Troops is a pretty even contest, but Murderous Prowess has popped, so I might have a little bit of an edge there, and they may actually get dragged down. Another Soul Stealer going down, and I purposely look, I mean that would, but prior to this patch that would have hit nothing, that Soul Stealer. Both of these units are getting hit. This unit of Spearmen is getting hit. I think Boris was affected by it, and we are getting a nice little wrap on a unit of Empire Knights, cleaning up the Swordsman here. The Feral Manticore dropped down, and these were originally Terror Rats, and now my Dark Riders sort of have a bit of freedom around here. They've got some I guess some blockers in the form of the Scourge Runners, which again are going into the State Troops here, getting a rear charge, breaking them off really quickly. And this is a mistake that some people make with Scourge Runners. They are a unit that can get great value with their missile attacks, but you've got to, in a fight like this, there's nothing really to be scared of here. Don't leave them in the combat too long, but they can rout State Troops very efficiently, as we see. The Cold One Knights do rampage onto the Empire Knights here. They probably will finish them off. This unit of Spearmen probably might actually be able to finish the Cold One Knights off, as we have, again, some returning elements for the Empire force, but the Scourge Runners just doing a lot of cycle charge, and this is what I mean. Get in, get out, get a rear charge, try and tag the leadership as the second, I believe this is the second Wand of Caridon going down on Boris, doing some nice damage, and we are getting these Pistoliers right off the battlefield. So still got a fair bit of ammo left on my Dark Riders, still got a little bit on my Scourge Runners, and I have some infantry capable of just tying up this little blob here. But 3 units of Outriders, or 1 with grenade launchers, 1 Pistolier, 1 Outrider, are going to get some nice shots into this unit of Dark Riders who are going to be routed off. But the Scourge Runners have pulled back to relative safety, getting some of their anti-large missiles in on Boris, and another Soul Stealer going down. This is one of the reasons, I thought that one might have been clipped there, but this is one of the reasons why Marathi's just gotten even better in this patch. The AoEs on Soul Stealer are larger. Her debuffs got even bigger because of the new sort of standardized numbers that CA have decided to use. But at this stage the battle wasn't looking great for me. Boris is healing. He's pretty beaten up, but he is healing, and the grenade launchers over here are probably going to even up this fight and make this unit of Bleak Swords pretty much on borrowed time. So basically I'm just trying to sort of retreat here, try and pull off as many scraps as I can, and I realize at this point that this Feral Manticore actually did rally on the edge of the map. Now it's very beaten up. One volley from these Outriders or Pistoliers is probably going to be enough to kill it or just rout it. But the Scourge Runners are really healthy. A little bit of ammo left on this one, but they can there's not enough mass here to really tie them up and block them up with the infantry changes here. And another Soul Stealer going down. Marathi Soul Stealer costs only 16 Winds of Magic rather than 18 for other casters. And this is where I sort of spring a little bit of a trap. I'm pretty convinced that the Scourge Runners don't have a lot to worry about here because this infantry is very tattered. And I do notice that my Dark Riders are coming back into the fray. This unit of Outriders breaks and will probably shatter. This one, I can probably get some the remainder of this ammo in, and now I'm leaving these guys to fire and trade shots with these Dark Riders here as I return to the fray here. This Scourge Runner unfortunately does get routed. This one is trying to sort of pull out, but Boris here is up in the air by himself, so he probably wants to actually get an attack order, and that's a good option there for my opponent to bring him down to the ground. So at the very least, he's going to be fighting on the ground in and amongst his State Troops. But a mass rout, a terror rout, I believe, on Boris Todbringer, as both the Manticores and Marathi drops down, is enough to trigger the most Pyrrhic of victories, and the Dark Elves will take the field. So as I was saying at the start, this is sort of a pretty, I guess, just generally quite a meta composition. You know, it's very wide, but it has mobile threats. It has, you know, pretty versatile skirmishes in the form of the Dark Rider crossbows. They can kill single entities quite well. They can kill armoured infantry quite well. Not that you're likely to see armoured infantry, which is great swords for the Empire in this matchup, but if you can screen them well with Dark Riders or just behind a unit of Dread Spears, they really pack a punch. They are sort of a little bit limited range-wise, and obviously they can't. They don't have Parthian shot, but 400 damage there, 900 there, 300. They felt more impactful than that, but they're a threat. They're a real threat to stuff like Empire Knights and the characters if you can get them tangled up elsewhere. But it's worth obviously noting as well that grenade launchers and Outriders can't sort of kite you that effectively with 360 firing on the move like something like a pistolier unit can. But the cold ones were pretty good. They did a good job screening. 97 kills, most of which were probably these Empire Knights, which again, they're not really match winners in their own right. They're a screening tool, they're cost effective, and they can be mass on demand if you need it to help sort of to pin single entities like the Manticores or Marathi in this case on the ground. But yeah, we'll go through the lists. Boris got reasonable value. Boris on the Pegasus. The Griffin would have probably been handy for Wenin here because Blood Roar to debuff leadership plus terror is pretty impactful, and you can go around just sort of one by one, sort of picking off little units where you can. The Grey Wizard, again, Pendulum's okay against Elves because they don't have a lot of HP per model, so you still can drop models, but I think there's probably better laws of magic here. You don't need to go life, at least when you go Boris, but I think probably adding on a few spells to this guy. Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma for a speed debuff could probably be one of them, or even just Enfeebling Foe to ensure that Marathi can't goon or something like that. But Pendulum alone is probably cutting a little bit too fine on the Grey Wizard there. But then the State Troops just hold. They do what they do. 1,000, wow, okay, 1,000 value on that Spearman. That's one of the highest damage values I've ever seen on a Empire Spearman. But yeah, just pretty stock standard damage value, what you'd expect to see there. And some good value on the Outriders in general. I like this list, but I would like to see a terror element, and probably you could optimize your magic use a little bit better. But it's cool seeing Boris. You usually see Volkmar in this matchup. I also think having one cannon piece is pretty big, or possibly death magic for Spirit Leech, because Empire Knights can actually beat Cold One Knights one-on-one if you get a Spirit Leech on them, or even a good volley from a cannonball. Because if you drop, obviously with the difference in unit models, 36 unit models versus 48, they actually can get pulled down quite well. And Spirit Leech you'll usually kill anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 if you're lucky. A good cannon volley can do the same. And then you can actually basically use one of your knights to clear this off, and then start to pressure the Dark Riders. But yeah, Marathi doing Marathi things. She's still far and away the best legendary lord on the Dark Elf roster. She's gotten actually even better, as I said, in this patch. Manticore's doing what they need to do, getting really good value actually. Probably a bit of a mistake not fully killing this one off, and I was able to sort of bring them back as a little bit of a hit squad late in the game. And then the infantry, likewise with the Empire infantry, they do about the same amount of damage value. It's just these guys cost a bit more, so always can be pretty good value for something like an Outrider. And then the Scourge Runners were pretty big. As I said, don't be afraid to get these guys in combat. Provided you can get them in and get them out, just like any chariot really, you can get a lot of value if you do sort of maximize their use as both a combat unit and a shooting unit. They're rarely going to pay for themselves by just using their ammo alone. They obviously have good anti-large tools here because you can pick off knight models, you can pick off Outriders and the like, but yeah, get them to assist your front line. They can be a little bit micro heavy, and keep them healthy for the late game so that they can sort of pin things in and help the single entities do some gooning. Anyway, good to be back in the caster's chair. Thanks for anyone who's dropped by to check this out, and there'll be more coming in the coming days and weeks, I'm sure. Hopefully be able to start streaming a bit more soon, and yeah, until then, take care.